Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rebecca Undum Live. It's Rebecca Undum, author of How Mommy Got Her Groove Back and founder of Groove School. So on Rebecca Undum Live today, we are tackling the topic of how to be more coachable. And I will tell you that this really stems for me personally from a long history of having a really hard time with people telling me what to do. Even when there are people that know better than I do, are smarter than I am in a given topic, and are actually trying to help me. So this idea of coachability really comes down to when you're trying to set a goal, oftentimes you don't have all the answers. And maybe you reach out to a coach, maybe you're asking a mentor, maybe you're getting advice. But at the end of the day, whoever you're getting advice from, if they're better than you at what you're trying to achieve, we've got to be coachable enough to take their advice, and that can be difficult. So we will get started on our topic in just a few minutes as we get folks to join us here. But for those of you that follow along with me or are new to Rebecca Undum Live, every week I give away at a minimum one signed copy of a book, like I physically send you a book. And normally it's just a little something that you have to do to get entered into the drawing to get the free book. But this last week's winner, so last week our topic was on finding your purpose, and I'd posted 9 different ideas about how to go about doing that, how to get some like hits of inspiration about what it is that you might be naturally gifted at. And my new friend, Becky Richardson, posted in the group, and I randomly picked her name this morning. So Becky, congratulations. You are the winner of a signed copy of the book. So I will tag you here when we're done with the live call, and all you got to do is PM me your address and I will ship you a book for free. So she had posted that she did the social media challenge, which I said, it's so humbling, and it opens you up and makes you vulnerable. But to post on social media and ask your friends, just say, what would be the one thing that you would say is my gift to the world, that can absolutely give you a hit of inspiration or an intuitive hit about what it is that you were really gifted at that maybe you don't even see. That's the weird thing. I'm just going to say that before we move on to the topic today, that a lot of times, one of my best friends and I were having this conversation. She is, this particular friend is a really natural connector. Like, she makes friends everywhere she goes. She's warm and she's delightful and she's funny. And when she was in the process of looking for jobs, and people, they'd ask the standard interview question, like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? She had said to me that at one point, somebody said to her, you don't even know how good you are at that. That's the kind of thing. When she was like, I don't, she doesn't, it's like when it's so innate to you, sometimes you don't see it as a skill or as a gift. Those are really the things. Those are the things to look for. And sometimes you've got to ask for it outside of yourself to find it. So congratulations again, Becky Richardson. When we get further down the call today, I'll tell you what you need to do to get into the drawing for this next week. So let's talk about coachability. And both those of you that are joining me, you want to say hi. I see your names, but I don't want to call you out in case you like hop on and hop out. But I'm totally going to call you out. So I see Jess, I see Kirsten, I see Carly, I see Beth. Say hi, girls. Just say hi. So I know you're actually with me. That would make my heart super happy on this Monday morning. Okay, coachability. Hey, Jess. Thank you. XOXO to you too. I love it. Okay. Hey, Carly. And we got Katie Olson Jones. Hello to you too. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad that you guys are here. Okay, this is one of those things. Hey, Beth. This is one of those things that I'm telling you, I'll just tell you straight out, I have kind of always sucked at. And I would say the last year, hey, Kirsten, so good to see you. I would say this last year is where I really developed the skill in myself and saw enormous leaps in not only just my satisfaction, but in my actual progress. Okay, so I'll kind of share my perspective on it, and then I'm going to give you some tips for you. So this whole idea of coachability. And let's just say this too. If any of you on this call are mamas or dudes, if you're listening, your parents, I personally think that this is one of the aspects of children that is most likely to be missing today. Like, they don't know how to take feedback. And again, yes, it's this entitlement thing, and we've always told them they're awesome, and we say, you're so beautiful, and you're perfect, and you're great, everything's awesome. Okay, so yeah, part of it, yes, it is our fault, but this is one of the things. They get into the workplace, they don't know how, okay, the workplace or their own boss or whatever, they don't know how to take a hit of constructive feedback. And at work, it's imperative to be able to hear it, digest it, take it, and do something with it. So coachability, I think, is it's always been important. It's super important to develop it in yourself if you're a goal setter of any kind, okay? But it's really important to think about how we help our kids take that feedback from the people in their lives, whether it's a teacher or a coach, an athletic coach, and help them get better. Because honestly, if you ask any coach, like an athletic coach, they will say the worst kids to work with are kids that aren't coachable, that think they know more than you do. And I was that kid for a really long time. It's so embarrassing. I get just like wicked embarrassed when I think about it. But when I was like a freshman, I had a basketball coach that said to me, like, if you can't learn to take the things I say to you and put them into practice and listen to them and at least acknowledge that I'm smarter than you. It's like, I'm paraphrasing him, but it stuck with me. He said, you're never going to go anywhere. And he was talking in basketball, which I don't even give a shit, right? It's basketball. I love the sport, but we're talking about life here. And he was right. I have this tendency to get immediately defensive. Okay. So if that resonates with you, you could like say, yeah, hey, I really struggle, or not, that's fine. But being coachable is super important if you're trying to achieve any sort of a goal. I had said this at the beginning of the call that ideally you're going to reach out to somebody in one of two capacities. And I encourage everybody to do this. Okay. If you're running a business, if you're setting a weight loss goal, if you're trying to be a nicer human being, I don't know, whatever your goal is, there's one or two things you can do. You can hire or seek out the support of one of two types of individuals. One, you can get a mentor. Typically, mentors are an unpaid relationship. There's not an exchange of money for mentorship. I think they're harder sometimes to find because the really good people often are charging for their work, their services, because they're good at it. Okay. But if you can find somebody, and again, you're looking for somebody that has exceeded or succeeded in the endeavor that you're pursuing. So like you don't, and this, I'll just say this, we do this all the time. I was going to say, you don't reach out to your unhealthy, unfit, unfulfilled friends to get you back on track with your health. You don't do that. Yet we do it all the time, right? Because those are the people whose voices we actually listen to instead of seeking out somebody that's already done what we want to do. Okay. So a mentor or a coach. A coach is usually a paid, there's transaction taking place, right? Where you're exchanging your money for their advice or their support or their encouragement. And again, the biggest thing is that it's somebody that's better than you. So I will just share with you when I started the process of writing this book and getting my speaking career off the ground. I hired a business coach. And you guys, it's the most humbling thing you can do. Okay, editing the book. I will just say this too. For those of you that have any aspirations to write a book, go through the process of having it edited. Get yourself a professional editor and have him or her help you. You will get your ego checked so many freaking times in that process that legit you will feel like you suck all the time. Okay, but the thing is that you have, it just constantly is checking you that and reminding you like they're smarter than me. They know what they're talking about. And this book, okay, I'm not saying this book is like the most amazing thing ever. It's not like a New York Times bestseller or anything, but I'm damn proud of this book. And I never would have written this book, and it would have never turned out the way that it had I not had, for sure, my editor. Speaking, same deal. My relationship with my business coach, she is the one who taught me how to be coachable. She's constantly checking my shit. And that's what I'm here to do, is just to impart to you the things that I learned from her and that have seriously made all the difference. You want to get better at something, you ask somebody who's done it, and then you shut your mouth and you listen. Okay, so here, I've got a few tips for you. I'm being really harsh today. But man, I think coachability is it's like the most important thing. So number one, you have to actually check your ego at the door. You have to be humble enough to remind yourself that they are smarter than you are in the given topic, that they know more, that you sought their advice for a reason, and to just recognize that if you were already killing it, you wouldn't need their help. Oh, Carly, good. You love that I'm being like tough love mom today. Like, oh, I'm going to tell you guys how this is. It's hard. Okay. Like I'm still sucky at this a little bit, but I'm way better than I was. Okay. So number one is be humble. Literally check your ego at the door. Remind yourself that you can't get better and simultaneously hold on to the thought that you already kick ass at everything. Like you can't, those are mutually exclusive things. If you want to get better, you have to acknowledge that you're not awesome at everything. So ego, checker, okay? Number two, really listen to the person, okay? I put really in italics on this one because what we often do is we put way too much emphasis or weight on the delivery. Or maybe we don't even really like the person who's saying it to us. It doesn't matter. Put the delivery aside and listen to what they're saying to you. That's what I mean by really listen. Like listen for the kernel of truth. Because here's a reality that's also really harsh. That defensiveness that immediately bubbles up into your chest and you get a little hot, generally it's because there's some kernel of truth to what they're saying to you. Sucks, doesn't it? Okay. So really listen, put the delivery aside, recognize that not everybody has the gift of great communication and maybe isn't saying it in a beautiful, glorious, loving, appreciative approach. That doesn't mean that what they're saying isn't true. Okay? Number three, avoid saying or even thinking any of the following things. I already know that. Okay, that's really hard because seriously, I can actually still now working with my coach, occasionally she'll say something and I'll be like, I know. And then she says, if you knew, you'd be doing it. That's how she checks me constantly. Like, yeah, really? Okay, you say you know, but if you knew, you'd be doing it. So I already know this, or I've already tried that. Okay, so here's the thing. Sometimes we need to revisit old tactics once we're further down a path than we were originally. So what I mean by that is maybe at one time you tried like cutting out carbohydrates. I don't know, it's just a random example. And you felt that it just really didn't work and you were hangry all the time and you were angry and you didn't like anybody and it was awful. Well, maybe now you've had 2 kids and your metabolism runs different and you're 6 years older and your hormones are different. You don't know. Like as we go through life, things change. And sometimes we need to revisit old strategies. Just because they didn't work once before doesn't mean they won't work now. We are different. We grow and things change. Okay. Or, well, that will never work. Okay. So if you're saying that or thinking that to this person who's giving you advice, who you've either paid or sought out their advice because they're smarter than you, then seriously to just look right at them and say, well, that will never work is pretty insulting. They're smarter than you. They're better than you at this given thing. Okay, so here's where my tough love softens a little bit. Number 4, adapt and adjust their advice to fit you. Okay, because they may be smart and they may be better than you at the thing you're trying to get better at, but they are not you. So it is really important to tweak it and to adjust it and to make sure that it feels authentic to you. So I think of all my friends that run businesses. Especially, I will say it, especially the women and men that I know that are in network marketing businesses. This is where sometimes maybe you get a script or you get some language to try. If you say it exactly the way that person says it and it doesn't feel right to you, it's going to sound not right to the person listening to it. So that's what I mean by adapt and adjust. So you can take their advice, but you've got to take their advice and put into action what this person is telling you to do. Again, they've already walked a road that you want to walk. But it doesn't mean it needs to look and sound and feel exactly the same. You are still you. You are still your person. So that's what I've got for you, ideas for you on coachability. And before we kind of wrap up here, and if you guys have any questions, throw them out. I mean, by all means, we're here together live. You might as well get the most out of me that you can. But the big distinction I want to make here is that this is not to say that you have to follow these 4 steps every time anybody gives you feedback, okay? Because there's a whole other spectrum of people that are going to weigh in. They're going to tell you what they think. And there's a whole process that I will share with you at some point if you haven't heard it from me yet about how to not take things personally. And that's the strategy you employ with those people. So the people that aren't trying to help you, that aren't necessarily trying to get you to be better in your endeavor, sometimes over here they're family, because their job is to keep you safe and to keep you from embarrassing yourself. And so they think they're helping, okay? Sometimes these people are just straight up haters. Sometimes these people hate their own lives, and so they say crappy things to make you feel bad about yours. There's a whole host of reasons why people on this side of the spectrum or line say things to you. That is not constructive feedback. That's negative feedback. And there's a big, big difference. So everything we're talking about today, these 4 simple things of being humble, really listening, avoiding saying, yeah, I already know that won't work, or I've already tried that before. And then number 4, adapting and adjusting the information for you and your life. That only applies when you are seeking out the support of somebody who has already walked the road you want to walk, okay? It's a big, big difference. And I wanted to be sure I said that, because this isn't a strategy that you need to employ with everybody who opens their mouth about the way you live your life. Sometimes those people have no business saying anything, and that doesn't mean they're not going to. Then we need to take control about how we respond to those things. Okay, so that's what I've got for you. So here today, I want to give a book away this next week, right? And I always announce the winner on the following week's call, so you get a whole week to work on it. Okay, so Jess, I love seeing all your team here too. You're welcome, Jess. You're very welcome. I love all of you guys. It's so much fun. Okay, so here's what you got to do this week to get into the drawing for a book. And I always say, if you're I already bought the book, I don't need a book, I'm going to give you a free book. It'll be signed. Gift it to a loving friend. Seriously, that's people love getting books. I love getting books as gifts. It's super fun. So here's the thing I would love to hear from you this week. So in the comments on the thread, how we respond. Yes, Jess, that is another topic. And I have a whole process for that too. I'll have to see it. I don't know what my topic is next week, but we will be talking about it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Let's have you share a time where you really didn't handle feedback very well and what it stole from you. I'll just tell you for me right now. So here's an example. I really think I could have been a stellar athlete in basketball, just basketball. That's all I played. I started late. Because I was afraid of screwing up. I just could not get out of my head. I was constantly in my head and didn't like being told that I could improve or do better. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And I think about, and granted, it wouldn't have mattered because it's not like I'm going to be a forever athlete. I'm glad I've learned this now. I feel like I got a lot of life ahead of me, so I can use it. But it really did. It robbed me of the full joy of that experience. So that's what I want to hear from you is what's a time when you didn't, or maybe it's current, and you can even just say it's holding me back in this way. And then we're going to just collectively say, all right, screw that. That's not how we're going to live anymore. And when somebody tells us what we need to do, we're going to listen to them and we're going to take their advice. Okay, so quick recap again. Be humble. Check your ego at the door. Number 2, really, really listen to them. Put the delivery aside if need be, but listen for the kernel of truth. Number 3, don't say things, those knee-jerk responses that suggest your ego isn't fully checked. I already know that, or I already tried that, or that's never going to work for me. And then number 4, adapt and adjust it to fit your situation. As always, I love, love, love having you guys on these calls. It's the best part of my week. No kidding. And so if there's ever a topic you want me to tackle on Rebecca Undum Live, all you got to do is ask. And then also, as always, for my Facebook Live viewers and replay watchers, you can get the workbook, the companion guide to How Mommy Got Her Groove Back. You can get it for free. I will put the link to download it right in the comments here. And honestly, I'll just say this. I technically am a coach, right? Like a life coach, I guess, a confidence coach or a success coach. There's all sorts of words that